This is the procedure for how to install RockSim on Mac OS Sierra. Right now, RockSim doesn't install correctly just using the default way that you would normally install programs, so there's a workaround that we can do in the meantime. We are working on a fix to build that into one of the next updates so that we can just install it like normal. So the first thing you'll do is you'll go to the Apogee website or the email if you downloaded the demo and download the Mac version. So you can see it's downloading there. In the meantime, while that's going on, we are going to disable Gatekeeper, which is the security kind of program that Mac has. Basically what it is it doesn't allow you to open or install applications that are not from the App Store or approved by Apple. In Sierra, they upgraded this to super restrictive, and so software like RockSim can't technically be installed anymore. So there's a website, a web page that can walk you through this. This is the URL here. We will link to it here so that you can click on it and follow those as well. But for right now, I'll walk you through this process of how to enable or bypass the Gatekeeper so that we can install RockSim. So basically what we do is we go up to our Apple and go to System Preferences and click on Security and Privacy, and you can see here they only allow apps from the downloaded from the App Store or identified developers, and this is the problem. So you can go ahead and close that. Go up here to your Finder menu. If you don't see this, click on your desktop and then it will show up. Go to the Go menu, Utilities, and then we're going to open the terminal. You can get here a bunch of different ways, but this is the way to go through the menu. So now we've opened up our terminal window. This is where we're going to give the command to disable Gatekeeper. On this linked page here is the code that you need to the command prompt that you need to enter. You can copy paste it, which is the easiest and probably the most recommended, just to make sure that you get everything right. You can hand type this in. So you'll put it in there on your screen and then hit enter or return. It will then ask you for your password. This is your computer's password, your admin, every time you install a program or do something on your computer. This is your computer's password. So this isn't something for RockSim or anything that we can give you. So I typed in my password, but it doesn't actually show it to you. It's a security feature. You just type it in and hit the enter or return key. And now we have actually disabled Gatekeeper. And to check this, you'll go back to your system preferences, and if you didn't close them before, you'll need to close them and reopen it to refresh it. We click on Security and Privacy, and now you can see the Anywhere option is enabled. So now that we've done that, you don't need this anymore. If you haven't downloaded the Mac DMG file, you can go ahead and do that now, and then double click on it to install the software. And at this point, there's two options. One, if you've never installed RockSim on your computer before, you're just installing for the very first time, and you haven't had any problems so far, you can just take the folder and drag and drop it into your applications. You can drag it right over and drop it, and it should install just fine. If you have previous versions of RockSim on your computer, specifically if you've tried to install 9.6.2 F210, but this is a good idea for kind of if you've installed it at all before, we need to actually rename this folder. So what I just do is drag it and drop it on my desktop, and it'll say that you may need to enter your password. That's fine. Anytime you do anything with kind of installing, it does that. Type in my password. Let's copy them to the desktop. So now the program's been downloaded to the desktop, and what we need to do is just change this name to be something different than the whatever you installed it as before. So you can just tack on something to the end of it, change the name. You just need to make sure that you don't have the same name as before. So because in what happens, Mac in the last like 2 versions has this weird situation where when you can drag and drop things to overwrite in your applications, but it doesn't actually work. It just looks like it works. And so you end up with this mishmash of old and new. There's also a bug with the registration software, and it all has to do with the way Mac has redone their applications folders, basically. So now that you've renamed it, you can actually go ahead and drag and drop it right in your applications folder. And if you double click on it or go a different way, you can see this is the one we just did, the 9.6.2 210 OK. So we just installed this. You can also see my previous versions of RockSim here, but we'll go ahead and open up the RockSim and double click on it. The first time you open it, like any program on a Mac computer, it'll ask you if you're sure. You can say, okay, open. Just making sure that you really meant to open it. It's not something. You can go ahead and close all these windows. Now you can also eject your temporary drive here. So if you have already registered RockSim a previous version, it should actually see your key, and you shouldn't need to re-register. If you haven't registered the software before, or you deactivated it or something, it will pop up a window. If you haven't used up your demo time, it will give you an option to run the program in demo mode. My demo time's up, so I have to actually click run the activation program. And this is going to open up Turbo Activate, which is this little key here. Sometimes this window will actually open up behind your RockSim, so you can't see it, so it looks like nothing's happening. So what I always do after I'm ready to register is I come down here and click on the little key if that window doesn't pop up. And then you, if you're extending your trial period, you click here. If you're activating RockSim, if you purchased it and we sent you a key for that, you click the Activate RockSim 9 button there. Then copy your key from the email we sent you and you paste it in here. You can click the button and it'll paste it in. And then choose Activate RockSim 9 online now. If you want to do it by email, the directions are on this web page. The PDF registration, it's on page 2. So if your computer doesn't have internet access, that's an option. Most people just activate it online. You'll type in your key and then click this button here, and it will pop up a finish window. If you get an error message for some reason, the first thing I always do is check my key. If you hand typed it in instead of copy pasting, I highly recommend copy pasting because there are things like 1s and I's and 0s and O's that can kind of get confusing. Some people, even 5s and S's. If you continue to have problems, that doesn't work, contact Apogee. We usually have some fixes if things pop up with that.